Hello, my name is Reina Davis. I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I love doing poetry and I'm really grateful for this opportunity. Thank you. A lot of my work is inspired by my family, my community, just really exploring femininity and spirituality and the intersection of those things, and just consistently learning how to exist in this world as a young woman of color. So my work really explores that, and I'm really happy to share with you. This first poem is called Boys Club. Faded tattoos in front of old church buildings, forward-facing chests beneath a proud brow hidden under extra-tinted glasses. It was a boys' club. 38 Chevys and a 55 Bel Air 56s were always my favorite, I said. The air was filled with expensive cologne and the smell of cherry coke, the bottled kind. I thought of your hair tied back with the windows down, pressing my lips against the back of your neck, catching the little hairs lifting up one by one with my breath. The church bell rang and the men revved the engines. Take our picture, mija. I knelt beneath a man old enough to be my grandfather, held his image within my frame between the rib cage and the smothered cough. Remembered the rule of thirds, making sure to get the cross in the background. Click. I hand them their photos. There's something about an instant image, an art that is just as impatient as me, I suppose. One man hands me a 5, for your film, mija. Another a 20, for your trouble, mija. I tell them to keep their money and point the to the ironed collar of their shirts. The word firme stretched between their shoulder blades across cotton fabric and aged skin. I want one of those, I said. I placed a photograph on the front of a grease-covered paper bag. I bought you wedding cookies and I left you with a handwritten letter. I thought of tying cherry stems in your mouth and the smell of coconut oil in your hair. A thick black curl wound about my index finger. The men told me I had to get married eventually, but to do it right the first time, so I never have to do it again. I told them, whenever it happens, I'll get married in that gazebo right there. I will say my vows in a chapel among cheerful whispers and mariachi ballads. If you invite us, we'll bring our cars, they said. We'll bring your shirt next week. This one's called Teeth. 1. I sip my black coffee awaiting my comeuppance. When does the tide turn? When will the milk sour? I scoff at the new mouth you have made a home in, saying yourself that your teeth gnash too hard against another's bite to be any good for kissing. Did she hide the cavity deep cure for your lockjaw that my gums couldn't manage? I sip my coffee and swallow in disgust at my indignancy towards your pseudo-healing and my lack of reaping that benefit. I ponder if I miss the tug of your lips or if I miss the act of being consumed. I gargle some water, swish and spit. Coffee stains enamel, you know. 2. My mother exposes her canines in a fight. Her words struggle up against them, causing rot and ache. The hands had proven to be more effective in communicating. The ears deafen, the body listens. My mother clenches her jaw hard when she smiles, and I struggle to subdue the guilt when I flinch every time she laughs. With limited moments like these, my eyes are in constant flight to revel in these times and absorb them correctly. Scan to the dimples, the wrinkles, the eyes, the hands, the hands, the hands. The words are sometimes carried softly, and I am reading each embrace. 3. I had braces for 5 years. Mangle the roots twisted as trees. Make sure the body knows its place. 4. I kissed you clumsy like high school. The mouth reticent, a gentle brush of the bottom lip, a whispered laughter slipping out from under the throat, the chest hums. Crashing together like a moon tide, our teeth collide eager and stifling. Confused at the physicality of this barrier preventing our bodies from becoming any closer. Enmesh the spirit in the longing. The tongue softens, the jaw aches in childish want. Ansias, we both laugh. The word of our parents' meaning, the feeling of want and desire, manifesting in the need to bite. I taste your skin between my teeth, never leaving a mark, as I've never been one to share my bed with possession. The salt lingers in my bed sheets and on my breath. I think of the sea and moonlight, of 11:11 and making love in Libra season. You flash a smile exposing your dimples. I move my fingers across your lips as you kiss all 5 to send them on their way. I want to chip a tooth on your love and lick the jagged edge. The skin does not break so easily. The mouth does not always blister. So culturally and personally, sharing food has always been something that's extremely intimate and spiritual and community building, and so I wrote a poem about that called Hunger. My kitchen is filled with boys with greasy hair and ripped jeans. I ask them if they are hungry. I don't ask, I say, there are tamales in the freezer. They say, but those are for you, and I tell them, they clearly only hang around white people, and that not everything is so strictly linked to possession. My boyfriend says to stop trying to feed his friends, and I tell him, hospitality is housed internally. The body is the spirit's first home place, I say. The boys are between our walls, but they fill our rooms with music and joy. Let us fill them with a language spoken through gentle bites and heavy swallows, I say. I am telling them I love them, and that not everything is so strictly linked to possession. My mother sends me home with leftovers every time I visit, some for me and some for my roommate. It is indicative of a love language I learned from the best. She whispers I love you and thank you to both of us underneath the lid of each Tupperware. I remember the lack of room in our own fridge, and I think how annoying, and I think how lucky. I rearrange the food on the shelves, shoving things here and there while my roommate waits in anticipation for a mother's cooking on a half-wiped table under a less than intimate roof. I make him breakfast once a week. I'm clumsy with my hands but fluent in the language of our palates. Our eyes are heavy and our stomachs filled only with a midnight anxiety and half a cup of tea. I ask him if he wants an egg. He always agrees, despite not liking them much in the first place. He passes me a bottle of Cholula. I pick off his plate. There is a conversation of tapping forks on teeth. Thank you, he says. Thank you, I say. I love you, we say. The room itself is silent. Clank. The silverware drops to the bottom of the sink. Pruned fingers fling dish soap from their surface. I always do dishes at my friends' houses. Whoever cooks doesn't clean. My mother's whisper creeps in between the prongs of the fork. My friend declines my offer as her own mother's words create a dissonance in the room. I explain. I'm clearing more space we can hold for each other. I'm restoring a contrasted beauty held within a dirty but empty plate. I argue both are lovely and life is cyclical anyway, you know. Cooking and eating are both, I would argue, magical acts. There is the inevitable connection of spirit to skin to substance, and just like any connective exchange, the psychic, the sexual, food carries with it energy and intention in contention with linear time. Don't eat food from someone who wishes you ill. My dad's new wife is una bruja in every sense of the word, contaminating a marriage using my father's body as a vessel. The first time my father's new wife sent me food before meeting me, officially that is, I politely declined. The second time my father's new wife sent me food before meeting me, I brashly declined. The third time my father's new wife refused to meet me and sent me food, I poured it down the sink with an audience. I watched my father swallow hard, 1, his soup, 2, his resentment, and 3, his guilt. I gag at his complacency and the insistence of her hunger. You could at least try it, he says. I am chopping bell peppers in my kitchen. Fingers dancing carefully between spices and the knobs of cupboards, my wrists seem to have 2 left feet. The knife slices my hand like the warning sign from a viper and spurts blood across the counter. It is a reminder that what I create is a reflection of who I am and who I would like to be, that the body and what nourishes it is connected between blood and spirit. I bandage my palm and continue making my meal. I love you, I say. I love you. This one's called I Visited My Dead. I visited my dead, left no trace, I left the cigarette butt on my cousin's grave, abandoned by the wind or an anxious spirit, perhaps. I wrote of a menthol half-smoked, staining fingernails with a smell other than bleach, running my hands clean through your hair against dirtied sheets, and the midnight hour. Y mis manos recuerdan, I lit the last of my mother's candles. Let the flames lick the edge of the glass until it burned and blackened. I considered this a healing act. I lit the paper holding my prayer, watched it break in the blaze, quick and easy like a fever. I took the temperature of the room. Cold still, 60 degrees, a sign of an expired thermostat, so I rode my bike through Martinez Town. Side streets sitting between wrinkles of my skin against family stories of the Aragon boys and portraits of La Virgen painted on once beaten down doors, I move. Slow enough to say good morning to a stranger with sunken eyes and an old dog. I lay. Still enough to receive nervous hellos and puppy kisses, remembering the world isn't just filled with dog bites. I am not merely an open wound, and I am forced to make peace with that. I am a mirror, and that is terrifying and beautiful. Bless the shatter of my anger. I swallowed hard enough to contain my joy. I left flowers across your frame because I can. I'm learning to bury my dead instead of preparing for the wake. To smoke a cigarette in these trying times just to tease death for the hell of it.